evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 709th edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. Give you an American perspective of our clubs, leagues, players, national team, and other fabulous moments. Get your daily reading from me and other writers over at Beyond the 90, at beyondthe90.substack.com, locally on New York Soccer at baddogsports.com. Chat room on YouTube is open. Come on in, discuss amongst yourselves if you like. If you have a question for me, I'll try to answer to the best of my abilities. And don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube if you want your daily dose of American soccer news content. Real quickly, this show, the sponsor tonight, it is Dino Luzzi Energy Drink. There we go. When I need that extra kick to power through match analysis and late night transfer rumors, there's only one drink that delivers an authentic Italian energy. It's Dino Luzzi, crafted in Italy with the same passion I bring to this show, because real energy comes from real ingredients, just like real soccer talk comes from real insiders. Joining me tonight is, of course, my colleague and the managing editor of Beyond the 90. That is Kartik Krishnaiyer, as we will talk about the USL labor negotiations with the USL Players Association. Kartik, welcome back, as always, my friend. We are in a certain crux at the moment, and even though negotiations are going on, and I don't think there's been a resolving answer at this point in time, but do we feel at this certain junction that we may get a deal into the new year possibly, or do you think there might be some bumps in the road that maybe these seasons in the Championship League and League One will not start on time?
Yeah. So, good evening, Daniel, and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays to everybody. League One, the CBA expires in 2027, so League One is safe. No problem with League One. In terms of the championship, I'm not terribly optimistic based on my reporting and talking to the parties. I am almost positive we will not have an agreement by the time the CBA expires on December 31st. Now the question is, will we have a CBA in place before players start reporting to camps and preseason start January 15th? That's the date around which most USL Championship teams have players report. That is still possible. I would say it's not likely, but it's possible. Will we have an agreement by the time the season is scheduled to kick off in early March? I certainly hope we do. I think there is a possibility we will not. And if that's the case, I guess tonight, as we get deeper into the show and this topic, we'll have to discuss what happens then.
Oh, absolutely. And look, we all want the players that represent the clubs in USL Championship to play their season. We are hoping, desperately hoping, that they do come to an agreement, both ratified by the United Soccer Leagues and the USL Players Association, to get this done in a timely manner. And even if it does go past the December 31st deadline, hopefully the negotiations will still be going, and hopefully they'll be friendly, and maybe it doesn't have to go all the way before the new season starts in March of 2026. So what are the number one necessities that these players are looking for? And at the same time, Kartik, is it also the issues of that brand new First Division League that has these players concerned because of the attempts of promotion relegation that the United Soccer Leagues wants to bring in within their three-tiered league system once it becomes a reality, I guess, in 2 to 3 years' time?
Yeah, a lot there that we have to unpack. I think in terms of the Division One league, and this is a very important thing for viewers and listeners to understand. The Division One league being thrown into the process like a grenade by USL and the promotion and relegation, as there had been progress towards a new CBA, and USL just throwing that out there in March and April of this year stalled things, because that meant, from a player perspective, okay, we've been negotiating or approaching this next CBA as if these are standalone divisions and there's no D1 path. So that threw a tremendous monkey wrench into these conversations, and I think that also has complicated things in terms of this specific CBA for the championship, because you have Paul McDonough going around boasting about USL's ability to compete, implying USL has an ability to compete with MLS, boasting about all the benefits of this new USL Division 1 and promotion and relegation. You have Justin Papadakis going on other podcasts, not yours, but on other podcasts, saying, hey, we've got 60 or 70 markets or ownership groups interested in buying franchises in whichever division of USL, whether it's the new D1, whether it's championship, or whether it's League One. So on the surface, based on all of that, USL's doing really well, right? They must be swimming in money. And then when push comes to shove and the players ask for better conditions and incremental progress compared to their last CBA agreement, which expires December 31st, where the players gave a lot, but they wanted to have an agreement and start the process. They had been certified as a union in 2019, or recognized, I should say, by USL in 2019. The union began. I think we remember how this union began. Our friend Nipun Chopra reported extensively on Tommy Heinemann's problems with FC Cincinnati at the time. And coming out of that dispute, a players' union formed in USL, started by Tom Heinemann and Connor Tobin and some other veteran players, and now really kind of an entity that represents the vast majority of USL players. USL Championship Players Union, Players Association has basically the representation of about 600 of professional players in the USL Championship, which is just about everybody. And so this is where they're at, and there's a lot. I guess we should get in a minute to specific bones of contention, specific places where the players want to see the incremental progress, and the league is not meeting them halfway, so to speak.
And that's where we get to this recent USL Championship final match between FC Tulsa and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Both sides, when the players walked out onto the field at One OK Field, they both sides, the players wore shirts about labor union and not worry about pro rel. Let's not worry about pro rel now. Let's worry about getting this union contract.
The shirt said pro rel question mark. Try pro standards first, because I think the contention is, and we'll get into this in a minute. So continue, Daniel. Yeah, I just want to tell you.
No, that's fine. I want absolutely, and I mean basically that's the big stance there, and shocked to see that happen, but understandably why the players are saying this. They're saying, listen, instead of worrying about bringing in promotion relegation, instead of worrying about challenging Major League Soccer, why not, let's just worry about the current issues that we have right now. And that is to get that bargain, that CBA done in a timely manner and do things the right way. And I don't blame them for feeling like this. I don't blame the players at all for making a stance. Now, obviously, I know you made a little video of it on Beyond the 90, which has been seen on both Facebook as well as on the YouTube page of Beyond the 90. Look, I'm not faulting Mike Watts or Devin Kerr for not making a conversation about it, because that's not That's not their perusal. That's not their.
I don't think it was their choice either, quite frankly.
Exactly, it's not their choice.
Yeah.
Exactly, because as you said in your video, they work for USL Productions. They do not work for CBS. It's just CBS is the licensee or the platform where USL is allowed to show their games on CBS Sports Network, CBS Sports National, Paramount Plus, and any other Paramount, Viacom, CBS owned networks, whether it's on on linear television,
Pluto
cable
TV,
and streaming. Pluto TV, exactly. So all I'm saying is I don't blame them at all. It's not their fault. I am not going to assume they should have said something. They are completely out of the equation for me. But, I don't blame the players for thinking like this. I don't blame the players for saying it.
No, and what we have to recognize is that there's several issues here, and there is a wide variance within the USL Championship of how clubs treat players, how they pay players. And this is kind of the problem. I mean, for all the criticisms of MLS and being a single entity, and I have plenty of criticisms of it, as I think everybody watching and listening knows. So do you, Daniel. There is a consistency that USL has not accomplished with their franchise-based system. So if you're a fan of Sacramento, if you're a fan of Lou City, if you're a fan of a handful of other clubs, Tampa Bay, San Antonio, you can just, not worry about what I'm about to say about some other clubs in the league. So you have a number of clubs in the USL Championship who do not give health care to their players. Their players are on the Obamacare marketplace. You have other clubs in the USL Championship that give great health care to their players, like some of the clubs I just mentioned. In fact, I know one of the clubs told me, hey, we have a great healthcare plan for our employees, for our front office, because we're able to mitigate the risk pool by having healthy, able-bodied young men who play for our club get the same insurance as our 45-year-old sponsorship salesperson who has some pre-existing conditions. So some clubs do it the right way, some clubs don't. But because of that inconsistency, the players are rightly asking the league to say, let's have a league-wide insurance policy that covers all of us as players and every front office person in USL HQ in Tampa and at each of the 25 clubs that are going to play this year. We pick up Brooklyn FC, we pick up Sporting Jacks, we lose, obviously we've talked about, we lose Steve Malik and North Carolina FC. So 25 clubs in the championship this year. There's no movement on that in negotiations from what I understand. Okay, so that's point one. Point two, the base compensation. And when we're talking about compensation, we're talking about, and this is something the union themselves created, I think maybe being overly generous to USL in the last CBA negotiation just to get an agreement. Compensation does not mean salary. It includes wages. It includes healthcare costs. It includes housing costs potentially. And it could also, there's another component to it. There's a fourth component to it that I just blanked out on. But there are several components that can fit under compensation. So I will say this, in the USL Super League, which you and I both cover Fort Lauderdale United, the minimum compensation for a Fort Lauderdale United player, in fact, a minimum compensation for players throughout the USL Super League is about $42,000. The minimum. That's the floor. Not bad, right? It is a D1 league. I concede that. But it's a D1 women's league. In the USL Championship, it's about $26,000. Significantly lower. So all the union wants is something comparable with the Super League. Because if you look at the Pro League standards, and you've looked at them like I have, Daniel, Division 2 men equals Division 1 women in terms of the standards. So NWSL and USL Super League only have to meet the standard USL Championship has to meet in terms of stadium size, in terms of front office staffs, in terms of pitch sizes, ownership net worth. Now, NWSL has obviously set a much higher bar. We know the kind of investors they're attracting. But in theory, they're the same level. Yet USL, some of the same clubs are in both leagues, right? Some clubs operate teams in both. Lexington does. Lexington is not a problem, by the way. That's another organization that's doing it the right way. They're not a problem here. We can get into the problem organizations in a few minutes if you want to. I don't want to name too many names, but we can discuss which clubs are not meeting this the required standard or the standard I feel they need to meet. So that's point 2. Point 3 is licensing and imaging. And this has become a huge thing, particularly in college sports, right? All we hear about if you turn on college football playoffs going on now, right? College basketball season started. You hear about NIL. U.S. soccer, I think, is very conscious of this. This is why they put out the college white paper we wrote about the other day on Beyond the 90. And NIL is the athlete has now in the United States, whether it's an amateur athlete or it's a professional athlete, realizes their name and their image has a value. So you see prominent USL championship players plastered over all kinds of team sponsorship decks, team promotions, and then CBS and ESPN promotions, right? And Univision or 2DNA promotions, right? You see USL players. So the union wants proper compensation for licensing and images. And this is the point that I understand the league and the union is the furthest apart on. Yeah. Because the players have a much higher valuation of their own image rights. And I have to tell you, I'm not going to divulge what that number is. I think that they're correct, and they might even be undercutting themselves with their number. But still, their number is here, and the leagues is here. I might even put their value up here. So this is a problem, because the other aspect of this that's important to understand is that because USL is a franchise-based league, with the Papadakis owning it, they don't actually have the skin in the game with the clubs. The club owners don't own a portion of the league. Daniel, you and I have talked about this for as long as we've known each other. You and I were talking about Francisco Marcos and the same thing in 2007, 2008. We did shows together. So that structure hasn't changed. And ultimately, I know there are a lot of clubs. There are some clubs, including the ones I named a little while ago, that would just say, okay, come on, Papadakis, come on, McDonough, just give the players this. We pay them that anyway. We give them health care. We don't mind chipping in for their licensing. We know what they're worth. Just why is this a problem? But it's different in Sacramento when you're running like a major league team and you get 12,000 fans or more a game at times than it is in Las Vegas, which is one of the clubs that feels like maybe they can't afford to do this at that level. And there's some other clubs too. Hartford would be another one. So their owner Bruce Mandel is very, very tight with the checkbook, even though they did better this year and they had better attendance this year, but still. So this is really kind of the issue, because USL HQ is their own entity and all these clubs are out here. It's not like MLS where they're all part of a single entity, or like NASL was, the NASL I worked for, where the clubs all owned 1/8 or 1/10 or 1/12 of the league, right? And then we later found out, actually FC Edmonton's owners and Fort Lauderdale's owners actually had Class B shares, which gave them a little more ownership in the NASL. We didn't know that initially, but still, it was one club, one vote. Okay, Edmonton did not have an extra vote. Fort Lauderdale did not have an extra vote. In USL, there's the Papadakis own the league, right? It's a family business to a certain extent. So this is part of the problem here, which I know you're aware of, Daniel.
I am. And this is where, and look, I'm not here to, throw the bathwater out of the bathtub. I'm not trying to do that. But when you have United Soccer Leagues announcing they want to create promotion and relegation, who are they doing it for, and why are they doing it? Are they doing it for the good of the game, or are they doing it because they want to challenge MLS? And this is where I think they're going to bite off more than they can chew, because they are trying to say something and it may fall apart. I don't want it to see it fall apart. I want them to be successful. I want to see it across the board from MLS all the way down. But we're not going to have it if you're going to use it as a sword and not as a shield. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what their motivation is. I mean, I want to see promotion and relegation. I want to see open systems. I want to see upward and downward mobility. I want to see competition in the marketplace. So I want USL to push MLS to do better and MLS to push USL to do better.
Exactly.
But why specifically is you? Those are our reasons for wanting promotion and relegation. Yours and mine, and thousands and tens of thousands of fans in this country, hundreds of thousands of fans.
Yes.
That are into pro rel and support USL clubs. Now, why does USL HQ want it? If I'm being perfectly cynical, it's because they want to sell more franchises at a higher price point. And they want to create another league where they can sell Division I entry fees in year one. Once they implement Pro Rel, they can put 70 teams or whatever in League One and keep selling franchises. And then there is private equity now involved in USL, which is not involved in MLS. So in theory, that gives USL a big financial leg up. But I am very suspicious personally of private equity getting involved in this sport. We've seen what's happened in Europe with certain clubs. Chelsea comes to mind right away when private equity got involved. We see what happens in other businesses and other industries. So the private equity piece of USL has me thinking USL wants to be part of a bunch of retail projects, building stadiums, and it's important to build stadiums. Daniel, you've stressed this longer than anyone. It's important we get all these teams in soccer-specific stadiums. So maybe it's a good thing USL is doing what they're doing. That's Lily, by the way, one of my cats. She's she that was her.
She can come on camera. It's okay.
Yeah. She was on camera, right? Wasn't she just on camera?
I didn't see her, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
If she does, it's all right. I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine. Lily's been on shows before. Here's the problem with this private equity piece. I think that there's not much transparency with the private equity, and there is no revenue sharing in USL. This is an important point about the franchise model. They do not split revenue with the clubs. So maybe in theory, they're able to do more for the clubs. They're able to loan them money. They're able to help them with their stadium builds. USL is trying to get every team into a soccer-specific, purpose-built, or club-controlled facility, which is important. And MLS still hasn't done that, right? We have these teams playing in NFL stadiums. Ridiculous. But the question is, where is the revenue share? The money that's being pumped into USL by private equity is benefiting the Papadakis family, it appears, and maybe some real estate projects around the country. Now, why is none of this coming back to the players? Why can't the league get the players health care? Why can't the league pay the players a living wage? Why do we have players in USL that also still have to coach at youth clubs? Why do we have players at USL that have shifts at other jobs? Now, they're often soccer-related jobs, but they have to go to the local youth club or they have to coach the local rec team to make ends meet. Now, is that and so of the 600 or so players in the USL Championship this past year, my sources tell me about 80 to 90 made under 35,000. So some people could say, "Oh, well, that's not bad. That's only like 12%. Everybody else is is making a living wage or higher." But that's still 12% of the players. That's not acceptable from where I sit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more than 12%. Actually, what did I say? 90 out of 600? That's actually like maybe more like 15%. Yeah.
No, it's not acceptable at all. And, look, I want USL to understand this. Like I said, We want them to be successful. We want them to be around. We want them to actually, you not just plant the tree. We want you to replant the tree when the original one gets old. We want you to seed the ground and build a new tree. That's what we want. Don't do it out of spite. Do it because you want to be sustainable. And that's the problem I see. And that's why I'm nervous. That's why I wrote that opinion piece a long time ago, as soon as it was announced. After you wrote your piece, after Alex Ashton wrote his piece, and everyone else at Beyond the 90 wrote their piece, I wrote mine. Because the truth is this. Yes, I know. I cover the Red Bulls. I'm an MLS guy, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to see USL succeed. I want them to succeed. I want to see everything go up and down the entire board the right way. But it's never going to happen unless both entities just stop squabbling, stop trying to battle each other to try and knock each other off, when you should work together and not work against each other. And that's the problem we have here. We are not all on the same page. And now it's kind of like, you remember the Mad Magazine's Spy versus Spy?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. The guy in the black outfit spy and the guy in the white outfit spy, they're trying to find a way to kill each other so they can, dominate the other side, depending on what issue it is you buy of Alfred E. Newman on the front.
I don't know who the constituency for the USL, and Lily, by the way, has come back and she's back on camera. I don't know who the constituency for the USL HQ is. With their hard line they're taking with the players, are they representing themselves, the Papadakis family? Are they representing some of these ownership groups, like I mentioned, Hartford specifically? Or are they representing the private equity people who have pumped money in? I know they're not representing Sacramento and Kevin Noggle, who has a broader view of this. And I know they're not representing Lou City, but who are they representing? And see, this is the thing. You and I have been harder on Don Garber than just about anyone. But we know he works for the owners. We know in theory the owners could fire him if they wanted to. We do not know that about Paul McDonough, right? I tend to think if this goes awry, Paul McDonough, who has jumped around from job to job in the domestic soccer space, Orlando City, he messed that up. They blew the cap. You got Colin up in Red Bull for free, basically, because Orlando had given everybody these ridiculous contracts, and McDonough had put them in cap trouble for perpetuity. He did the same thing with Inter Miami, by the way, and then got in trouble too. He got in trouble in Orlando also. He tampered with players that were at other clubs or that had discovery rights from other clubs. But so he's jumped around a lot. So I tend to think if things go awry, he might not be at USL in a year or two. But for now, he is the guy leading the league and making the decisions. So the question then becomes, who does he represent? Whose interest is he representing? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Is it the Papadakis family's interest? Maybe. I don't know. Is it certain owners? I don't know. Who?
I don't know. I really don't know. I wish I knew. But,
it's interesting that they're putting McDonough up forward and not Justin Papadakis himself.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe as the comment just said, he is being set up to be the fall guy.
Yes, exactly. So, we'll see what happens. Look, when they had Edwards there, he basically worked well with the Papadakis. And look, he ran a solid ship. But, he didn't last too long. What was he, almost there for over a decade almost, I think Edwards was there running as president.
And Jake was very different than McDonough. So a lot of this is a Paul McDonough problem. I tend to think if Jake Edwards were the president of USL, we'd be further along here in terms of this specific issue, the CBA. I'm not saying on everything else, but I think
No.
his temperament was a little different. He had a lot more kind of broader perspective about lower division soccer. He was a guy that was a player who then went into management, was kind of, I don't want to say a failed player, but not a very successful player, Jake Edwards, and went into management and learned the business side. McDonough has been a player agent and then a kind of polarizing senior figure in Major League Soccer who does not, I think, understand the everyday struggles of lower division players or players in general. And I remember he got credit in Orlando. People like, oh, he's such a genius. He drafted Kyle Larin, right? I could have been in that position and drafted Kyle Larin also. Okay.
Yep.
I had the first pick in the draft. Maybe I would have picked Jack Harrison instead. Maybe that would have been a better pick. But he got all this credit for picking Kyle Larin. I remember people telling me he was a genius because he had picked Kyle Larin, who of course had gone to the University of Connecticut, where McDonough had ties, and was a Canadian international. Is a Canadian international, right? He's still on the national team. And that he's MLS draft. You usually don't get players that good. Okay, but if you or I had been the general manager in Orlando, we would have made that same pick. We had the first pick. There was a clear guy to pick. So I don't know. I don't know what McDonough's. I mean, I go back to the roster build in Orlando. I just that and when things went wrong, he started blaming other people. He started compartmentalizing. I understand the same thing happened here in Fort Lauderdale with Inter. So I think he's probably the wrong guy for USL to have. Now, maybe it gets kicked up to the Papadakis when things don't get when the deal isn't made in time in the next few weeks. Maybe Alec and Justin Papadakis take a more active interest in this. Or maybe McDonough's the poor sap. Maybe they're setting him up to be the fall guy.
Could be. It really could be. Because maybe they know what his weaknesses are and they're waiting for him to basically fall on his face and expose it for it. So I don't know, Kartik. We'll see what happens. But, like I said, I don't want to see anything happen in USL Championship. I want them to get this deal done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the deal done, move forward, and look.
And Daniel, I should mention one last thing that I'd love you to comment on. This is happening in a World Cup year, which is just unfortunate timing. It's not intentional. It's just this happened to be when the CBA expired. And that's something I think if it gets to a point where we might have a work stoppage, which I think is possible, is very possible. I think at that point, the USSF is going to have to get involved.
They have to. I mean, they have no choice but to get involved. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. Round 1 is in March of the Open Cup.
Yeah.
Round 2 is end of March, beginning of April for the second round. These 16 championship clubs will be in the third round, and that's somewhere in April or May. There's only so much time they have left to prepare themselves and get ready for the third round proper. And these teams really have to start playing very soon. I really would like to see U.S. Soccer actually step in right now. I really would. I think they have to step in right now. You cannot wait any longer. Go into it. Be ready. Be prepared. And have them come together at the negotiating table and say, look, we cannot mess around any longer. Let's butt our heads all together. Let's get through this. And then we can have a season to play.
And what would help?
Don't worry.
You know what would help, Daniel? If U.S. Soccer put some player welfare standards in the pro league standards. It doesn't all have to be about stadium size and owner net worth. I mean, this again goes back to the game in this country. They're always thinking about money first. Everything has to do with owner net worth and how much you're putting in this and how much money you're putting in that. And what about paying? We don't have a game. We don't have a sport without the players. How about putting some standards that protect them? Saying, hey, if you're a pro league, players have to have health care. Something that's basic. Why isn't that written into the statute?
I would stress, Kartik, that they should put it for all divisions, not just for USL Championship. They should put it on for all divisions, for all of them.
Because I guarantee you, most NISA players probably didn't have health insurance. They were probably going through the Obamacare brokers trying to get health insurance. like some of these USL players. And now I want to stress once again, most USL championship players already do get health insurance, but there are some that do not. There are some teams that do not give them health insurance. And look, I know we can say, oh, Sacramento, they do it perfectly, but you're only as strong as your weakest club. Yes. And I named 2 clubs. I'm going to name them again, and there are a few others. Hartford and Las Vegas. They don't do it right.
Right.
And I understand it's very difficult to make ends meet at this end. Trust me, I worked in the front office of a league office at this level, D2 level, for 4 years. I know how hard it is to make ends meet, and most clubs are struggling. But there are basic things you still have to do, and it'll come out on the other side in a favorable way if you treat your players right. And so that's ultimately the problem.
It is. It really is. And hopefully it gets fixed. And hopefully, all of this will come together. And, both sides need to have a full understanding of what has to happen down the road from this point on moving forward. Get this done first. Get this CBA done first for the Championship League. And then when you get to League One and, when it gets closer to the ending of that CBA, come together with those players and show the same partnership you're using with Championship with League One. And we'll see what happens. But other than that, I really think they going towards promotion relegation was the wrong thing to do. I'm not saying it's the wrong idea. Just the timing of it was wrong.
Yeah.
They should have gotten this done first.
Correct.
Correct. First, then have a meeting with all the players in all the clubs in all leagues of USL to tell them we are thinking of doing promotion relegation.
And then the players would be partners in implementing Pro-Rel. But by doing it this way, and I said this at the very beginning of the show, and I need to stress this again, and I don't think I've stressed it enough in my writing, quite frankly. Maybe I need to punch myself for that and say, remember this as I cover this going forward. This situation has been created more than anything by USL HQ's decision to throw the Division I and Pro-Rel stuff out when they did. When they were in the middle of negotiating a new CBA and basically not telling the players in advance, not telling the union, hey, by the way, we're going to have a Division I league in 2028. By the way, we're going to have promotion and relegation. Let's start the negotiations under those premises. Don't release it publicly. Don't tell people publicly, but just so you know. So as far as and I don't want to put words in the mouth of and I know many of the players who are union reps, right? So I know a lot of them that are reps for their specific club. And one of the executive board members, Micheletto, he just got signed by Tampa Bay. So that's he was kind of one of the league guys in League One. Now he's coming into the championship. Mm-hmm. So not him specifically. This has come from actually another player and other player reps. They're basically saying, look, if you had told us this, you would have the courtesy to tell us this was the direction you were going, things would have been very different. And we would have started negotiations in a different place. And basically what happened is they threw that bomb out there. The players didn't know. Most club owners did not know about Division I. Now they knew about Pro-Rel, but they did not know about Division I. That, I will say, probably set us back about 4 or 5 months. So where we are at this moment on December 23rd, we would be at, this is where we would have been in August if it had been a normal progression, or they had told the players, if they had not done Pro-Rel and D1 at all, or they had told the players before they let it out there. But it messed everything up. And if we were at this point in August 23rd, we would have a deal by this December 31st, January 1. We wouldn't be talking about a work stoppage. We'd just be talking about what does this CBA look like. Instead, we're talking about a potential work stoppage and all kinds of bad feelings because of this. Now, you and I have both said we want promotion and relegation. I want it very badly, but it has to be done the right way, and it has to be done with players as partners.
And that's what I've always been saying,
Yeah.
that we have to have it done the right way. We cannot jump the gun, unlike what USL has done. They put the cart in front of the horse. They wanted to, instead of really think about it, instead of actually thinking about it, setting it up properly, having regular dialogue with the players union and with their owners of all the clubs. This could have been, handled much better, much easier, but instead they rather go shock and awe and challenge MLS instead of doing it the right way. And that's why I know you have to get going soon.
Yeah.
But that's
5 minutes.
But that's why I am concerned.
Yeah,
that,
they put the
because of the pro rel situation, it doesn't sound like it's on a firm ground.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dirty laundry that I think is being aired privately right now in all of this. And can you put the toothpaste back in the tube? I agree with the comment, and you only get one chance to get it right, or the clock is ticking on your league going out of business, and we'll never get pro rel again. So 2 things: USL, the clock is ticking on them if they do it wrong, and we'll never get pro rel again. And there's so much stuff out there, acrimony now that's coming out. I'm worried about them getting the toothpaste back in the tube and getting everybody on the same page again, because this is a breakdown in trust that they didn't talk about this in advance with their players union, their certified union, and that they didn't. And now we see Jeff Carlisle reporting, and I don't want to get too deep into the politics of journalists who write about stuff, but I something coming from Carlisle to me involving USL is more credible than some of the stuff I've seen from Tenorio. And there's a reason for that. I don't want to get into it here, but Carlisle had a very good piece about very good one about the D1, and and because it's coming from Jeff, I know he's done the reporting. It's not some agenda based piece, and I quite frankly was kind of alarmed by the numbers I saw in his piece. If that's what they're thinking, then we're a long way off from getting this particular CBA done. If that's what they're thinking for D1, we're a long way from getting this D2 USL Championship CBA done.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, they're putting the cart before the horse. You're not doing things the proper way. You're just trying to either do shock and awe, or, hey, guess what, MLS? We're going to try and one-up you. Instead of worrying about your own house, you're worrying about what the neighbors are doing. I don't know if I told you this story. This is based in our neck of the woods in South Florida, somewhere in Boca Raton. A family, down the intracoastal. They have these beautiful little mansions along the water. Apparently, there was a plot of land that was empty for a long time, and it was next to this one person's house. And all of a sudden, they built a beautiful mansion themselves. And the one who has to sit next to that mansion was upset because she felt their house looked better than hers. So what did she do? She rebuilt her house, and she added 4 other bedrooms with their own kitchens, with their own bathrooms.
By the way, those of you who don't know anything about South Florida, this is very on brand for Boca Raton.
I know. This is in Boca Raton. I mean, you find out about these things, and I'm like, so the woman got upset that the new neighbors who built their house, she felt she was outdone by them, so she had to one-up them to make herself feel better. And this is the only analogy I can compare to what USL is doing to not only create their first division league, but to bring pro rel as well, to challenge MLS, which is the wrong thing to do. And like I said, I know I cover MLS, obviously, the Red Bulls, obviously, but the truth is I want to see the game grow the right way. And that's why I worry for the lower divisions, for losing clubs. We've already lost a lot of clubs in the lower divisions, in USL, in Championship, even at times in League One. We've lost clubs now in the NISA League, even though it looks like they're still on life support. I don't even know how much longer they are going to be on life support, because I don't know if they're going to even keep their third division temporary sanctioning. They may lose it for good, and those clubs will be dead in the water. And then where are they going to go? They're going to go to USL. They're going to go to an amateur league now. I mean, they're going to go to MPSL. I don't know. And that's what we don't want, because to lose these clubs would mean that the entire American soccer ecosystem will fall apart. And the only one surviving is Major League Soccer.
Yeah. And I think it becomes a lot difficult for MLS if USL collapses in terms of player development, in terms of so many things, infrastructure development. USL, I don't think USL is necessarily going to collapse unless they collapse under their own weight of bad decisions. And they can prevent that from happening by making a deal with the players, even if they meet them halfway, right? I'm not saying they have to give the players 100%, but I think
no, of course not. There has to be negotiation, obviously. Yes, so there's got to be some give and take, and obviously we want the give and take to happen. We all know the players are going to have to concede some things, and USL has to concede some things as well to make this situation work and work well, and that's all what we want. And also,
one last thing before I have to go, I want to mention. Yeah, one last thing I want to mention is it has been mentioned to me that that maybe USL could lock out the players and have replacement players. I don't think that's going to fly, and I don't think a lot of clubs are going to want to do that either. So this is the situation. If there is a work stoppage, I think that you'll have cancellations of games. Now, there are some clubs that will want to play with the replacement players, or the scab players, as the union would call them. I just, from my own conversations with people around the league, and I'm talking about clubs, not in the league office. Right. These teams, they feel like their brand, they're just getting by. If they trot out a bunch of college players or NPSL level players in the USL championship, they'll lose fans permanently. They're pretty sure they will. Some of these clubs.
Yes.
So I think if we do have a work stoppage, we're going to have we're going to lose games. Basically, we're going to lose part of the season. So let's hope it doesn't come to that. That's still a few months away. That's still 2.5 months away. But it has to be on the radar. We have to talk about it, unfortunately.
No, we will, and we'll probably bring this idea back up somewhere down the road in the new year. But once again, I think we have to stress U.S. Soccer really has to step in, and they really have to hammer this out, because we cannot have a work stoppage. We cannot have matches taken off the schedule, and definitely no scab players at all. It's got to go out. Yeah. But as always, Kartik, I thank you for your time as always. Happy holidays to you. Happy New Year as well to you and your family. Hope to see you before the new year comes, and once the new year does come, hopefully we can get back together. And,
we need to get together soon, for sure.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But thank you again, Kartik, as always. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. And, he cut off on his own. I was going to do that for him. But anyway, for those of you watching this show, for the first, I should say, 3/4 of a season in the books now, in the new platform here for myself on YouTube through StreamYard. I just want to say to StreamYard, thank you for being a brand new partner for this show, and of course with YouTube to broadcast this show on their platform as well. Thank you to all of you. This will now be the last show of the 2025 season. Get ready for 2026, of course. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the same old American soccer talk you all love. I'm going to be taking a 2-week break for the holidays. So once Christmas and the New Year's is over, I'll get ready to be back into the swing of things. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of excitement. And it's going to be excellent. And of course, let's not forget, we're going to talk more World Cup action here on the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. But I want to thank my guest tonight, Kartik Krishnaiyer, my colleague and the managing editor of Beyond the 90, for joining me. I want to thank all my guests that have taken the time to come on my show, whether they cover clubs in MLS, USL Championship, League One, League Two, the Open Cup, Also Canada, USA national teams, the amateur clubs that qualify for the Open Cup, and of course previewing their roads to qualifying for the Open Cup. I want to thank everyone for joining me here. I also want to thank you, the American soccer audience. This show is dedicated to you, the American soccer fan, that what goes on within our borders, in our country, in our region of CONCACAF, and of course, what is happening across the globe. Can't wait for 2026 to come in. Cannot wait for the World Cup to come in as well. This upcoming summer, we are almost at the new year. The ball will be dropping, and for 2026 to come into our lives. So once again, all of you, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and also Happy New Year to all of you as well. If there is breaking news coming, I'll pass it along. I'll jump on for an emergency show. But until then, thank you all for joining me here. My first time doing video streaming. I hope you all enjoyed it. I do my best and try to make it fun and exciting for you guys, because we got to worry about what goes on the pitches here in the United States, our neighbors north in Canada, our neighbors south in Mexico, when we get to certain competitions, whether it be national team, whether it be club competitions, whatever have you. So once again, for myself, my name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. Good luck to all of you in the brand new year in 2026. And as always, for the final time in 2025, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care. So long. Have a good night. Happy New Year to all. Happy holidays to all. And bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody. And let's welcome in the new year safely and responsibly. Bye-bye for now.